live, Mike.
Thank you.
There you go, you should be live now.
All right, thank you very much. Hi, everybody. Welcome to this virtual meeting of the Governance and Audit Advisory Group. Just to let people know, meetings of the Town Council's committees have been temporarily replaced by advisory groups and will be conducted in accordance with the Town Council's agreed remote meetings protocol. This meeting is being streamed live and is available to view on our website. I'll pass you over now to the Assistant Town Clerk and she's going to take a roll call. So that's you, Juliet.
Thank you, Chair. Councillor North East?
Yes, present.
Councillor Buckland, just checking we have his apologies. Councillor Butcher?
Sorry, present.
Thank you. Councillor Malloy, again, just checking, Chair, we have her apologies too. Councillor Price?
Present.
Thank you. Councillor Rhodes, we also have apologies for, and Councillor Long is joining us, Chair, as substitute for Councillor Rhodes.
And just to confirm, I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Just to remind you to put your phones on silent or turn them off for the meeting, please. And it should be apologies next, but I think you've covered that, Juliet, in the roll call. You've told us who's not here. So I'll go straight on to declarations of interest. There are a number of standing declarations that are noted, but members and officers are reminded to make any declarations if they become apparent at the appropriate time during the meeting. Are there any further declarations of interest? Okay, that's a no. I'll move on to minutes. Minutes of the meeting held on the 9th of February. Unfortunately, I was not there, so I don't think anybody else was apart from Jill. So I'll have to ask Jill to approve them as a correct record.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, I'm happy to confirm them as correct.
Thank you. Thank you. And just remind that there is no discussion on the draft minutes of a preceding meeting. A preceding meeting will take place except in relation to their accuracy. Jill has already said that she approves them, so thank you for that. And arrangements will be made for these to be formally signed when circumstances allow. And this will be recorded in the minutes. Item 5 is Chair's report and urgent items. I don't think I have any, but I'll just check with the Assistant Town Clerk.
There are none, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'll go straight on to public forum. And in accordance with the remote meetings protocol, which has been introduced by the Town Council, any members of the public wishing to address the Council on any of the committees during remote meetings should have emailed their submission to us one clear day before the meeting. And I'll ask the Deputy Town Clerk to advise if there are any representations. I'll ask.
Chair. Sorry, I was waiting for it to go live. Yes, there is one from Mr. Chester, who asks, given the expected lifting of social distancing restrictions on July the 19th, can we be reassured the museum will be open to all with no requirement for pre-booking in time for the school holidays, and that the promise given to this committee some years ago that a card machine will be installed in the museum shop to take payments will have been achieved?
Thank you. Are you reading the response?
I can do that for you if you want, Chair. Yep.
Yep.
So we thank Mr. Chester for his question, and we agree that it is looking very promising that the museum will be able to return to being fully opened on the 19th of July. We will, of course, review the updated guidance when it's reissued, as we have done throughout the pandemic, and undertake risk assessments before doing so. And this will apply to all our other services as well. The card reader has been ordered, and once it's arrived and staff have been trained, it will be available. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I'll just thank Mr. Chester for that. Funnily enough, it was something I thought of the other night about the card reader, and I was going to raise it tonight, but that saves me doing it, so that's already done. Item 7 is officers' reports, and I'll ask you to turn to page 10 of your agenda and get the Deputy Town Clerk and Responsible Financial Officer to take us through these reports. Over to you again, Laura.
Thank you, Chair. Okay, so the first report that we have is from the internal auditor, and that's on pages 10 to 22 of the agenda. The internal auditor made 2 visits during the financial year, and the report that you see before you covers both of those visits. So all areas were found to be in order, and there were only minor recommendations. One was around VAT for the new community centres, and Council has agreed to opt to tax for Eldon Way in the same way that we do for Southfields Community Centre. And we will take advice for North Littlehampton because that's a much more complicated, larger centre. The test of the IT backup, as the committee will be aware, is still pending. And hopefully with the restrictions easing, we will be able to move forward with that. However, that might be superseded by the fact that we're looking at moving our data to a virtual server and platform. The other recommendation from the internal auditor was to eliminate checks by the end of the financial year. And the finance team are working with service managers across the board to make sure that we can do that. So overall, it's a good report from the internal auditor and provides the assurance that council that it's got in place effective systems that are being adhered to. So that's it really. I'll hand back to the chair for any questions.
Thank you. It really is. I mean, you played it down a little bit, but it really is an excellent report. And I think it is testament to you and your team and all the other officers that have been involved with the council to actually get us through this and get a report like this. I mean, you know, it's a gold star, isn't it? This report at the end of the day. And I mean, you deserve to be congratulated, as I said, along with your team, and thanked for this because it makes us look really good. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Chair.
I'd just like to support that, if I may. Thank you.
Yeah, Jill. Are there any questions anybody wants to raise with regard to the reports? For Laura, this is your last chance. They've all gone very quiet, Laura. Right, so can we take it as read then that we'll note those reports? I think that's the recommendation, isn't it? To note that report?
Yes, it is, just to note the report.
Yeah, okay. Everybody happy with that?
Yes, very happy.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Fantastic. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Right, so we'll move on to 7.2, the revised risk assessment register for priorities and policies, and that's pages 23 to 83. So I think that's you again, Laura.
Thank you, Chair. Okay, so as the Chair said, it begins on page 23. What normally happens in the February meeting of this committee, we would review the Council's corporate risk strategy and procedures along with 3 risk registers. However, in February earlier this year, the 2 risk registers for the Council's priorities and the one for the Council's policies were postponed because the priorities were being taken through the March committee cycle. So that piece of work has been completed. Therefore, the risk register has been reviewed based on the agreed priorities, and the policies are also in the process of being updated to reflect those agreed priorities. So similarly, the risk register for the policies has been reviewed. So what I would say to the committee is that this piece of work is linked to the annual governance statement and gives council the assurance required to approve that statement in June of each year. So what the committee is being asked to do is to review the risks to the council associated with the services we provide and the risks of successfully achieving its priorities and policies. So it's not about reviewing the priorities and policies themselves, but actually looking at the risk register for those. So if we can approach this in two parts, taking the priorities risk register first, and I suggest that we go through that page by page, and if members have got any questions or points that they want to raise, then please do. So that starts on page 27 of your pack.
Yeah.
So if it's okay with you, Chair, I'll just go through page by page. If anybody's got any queries that they want to raise, then please do.
Okay, Laura.
All right, so we've got page 27. I mean, some of these will be familiar because really it was a kind of a review and an update of the priorities, but the newer one that's added there is the branding and marketing. I don't think there's any questions. So we've got page 28. You'll see on there you've got the youth employment policy. So that is a new priority that needs to be explored by council. So once that has been explored and we've defined that, then the risks can be identified.
Sorry, Laura, where are you on that one? Say again.
So it's page 29.
Oh, you're on 29.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry, I skipped a page, didn't I?
Yeah.
Sorry. Page 28, just some minor things on there of a new youth centre and a new North Littlehampton community centre. Okay, so if we're happy with those, go on to page 30. And you'll see in there you've got the Pier Road pedestrianisation and the Pier Road entertainment scheme, which were new priorities. And then we've tweaked the policing crime and antisocial behaviour. And in terms of the controls, have added in that we've got a 2-year pilot for community wardens, which obviously is now up and running. Okay, so there's no questions on that. Page 31. The new priority there is the High Street regeneration initiatives. Right, there's no questions there. Page 32. Oh, I think we have a question, Chair.
We do. That's from Councillor Butcher.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to query the identified risk on the sale of Project 82, because it seems a very limited outline of the potential risk. Because I think the bigger, I mean, clearly it is a risk that we would find ourselves selling it for less than we might get at a different time. But the I think the bigger risk is what the community are going to think about that particular place that's owned by the town council being sold off at this sort of time. I think that withdrawing from Wick Street as the town council, as it effectively constitutes, could be seen as being something of a poor move, and it seems to me that there are a lot of comments about within the document about the way it reflects, way various things reflect upon the town council, and it seems to me that that's a significant risk there, because there are a lot of needs in that area, to which a community centre potentially in the shopping centre would be a really good thing. And I think that also when you look at comments by councillors about things like when Barclays is closed in the town centre, talking about institutions withdrawing from the shopping centre there being a bad thing, I would tend to think that that's true about the town council and 82 Wick Street. So I'd really like it to be reflected within the potential risks, because I think it's something that we're going to have to be mindful of when it comes to any sort of final decision in terms of actually fulfilling that.
Thanks, Alan. It's not a million miles away from things that I've been saying in the past with regards to the reasoning behind Project 82, why it was first put there. And it was put there to provide those community facilities right in the heart of the Wick shopping centre, and to alleviate problems that were occurring within that shopping centre. I think you're absolutely right. I think we do have to look at the risks to a loss of a facility to the community. And I think perhaps that should be reflected within the risks, if that's right, or is that the wrong type of risk to be looking at, Laura?
So it is the right type of risks to be looking at. However, so this priority has changed. Previously, it was looking at selling Project 82, and as you'll know, that decision has been discussed at Property and Personnel, at Council, and back to Property and Personnel. So at that stage, there was a decision being made as to whether we sell it or not, and the risks then were around the reputation to the council. The decision's now been made, so people are aware that it's going to be sold, and so the risk changes to, it's now about, you know, will we achieve the money that we want to achieve from it?
Right.
So prior to this, the previous risk register would have identified that if the council was making its priority to sell the building, then those were the risks associated with that. I mean, you know,
would those risks still not be there? They haven't gone away, have they? The fact that now they've taken the decision to sell it, the risks of a loss to the community have not gone away. So should they not still be?
no, I mean, I suppose in selling it, it could flag up to community members who perhaps weren't aware that it's now being sold. So they could go back in, and obviously the other thing that I would say is that part of that mitigation is having the new community centres, for example, in Eldon Way. So yeah, it could flag up to people that weren't aware, and that comes back. So we could put the mitigations back in.
I know from my own point of view, I've been contacted by traders and also the church and various other people about the loss of this facility. They were thinking that it was going to be done up and brought back into the community. They were pretty shocked that the council was looking to sell it off. So I think there is a risk there, and I think it should come back into the report. Alan, you wanted to come back. You indicated you wanted to come back.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yeah, I mean, in many ways, to say pretty much what you just said, I also have spoken to people within the community who see it as a huge missed opportunity. So I think that this particular risk is going to be something which we're going to have to keep in mind right to the end of the process, because I think that if we or in whatever way we end up selling it, I think that we need to be mindful of those potential opportunities that will be missed, and whether there are maybe well, and how we address that when it comes to it.
Okay, thanks, Alan. Anybody else wish to say anything on that? No. Okay, Laura, do you want to carry on?
Okay. So I think that is it with the priorities part of the risk register.
Yeah, you're right. We're over to the section 1, the mission statement now. And yeah, I noticed that all the changes you've made are in red, which makes it a darn sight easier for us to read.
Yeah, so what you've got, the second part of the risk register is for the policies, aims and objectives. And as I said at the start, when the priorities were reviewed in March, that has a knock-on effect to the policies, aims and objectives. So they do need to be reviewed. and that will go through the next committee cycle. But what I have done is included in the report at Appendix 2, which is from pages 33 to 59, the revised policies, aims and objectives, and that was included for information. The actual risk register that the Governance and Audit Committee need to review starts at page 60 of your pack. So yeah, quite a few remain unchanged. So what I've tried to do is draw attention by highlighting bits in red. So
you're going straight, you're not going through this report.
I'm going to go straight
Going straight to page 60.
Yes.
Right. So what do we do with this other report that we got?
So that was for background information. So the risk register looks at the policies and identifies the risk and the controls for each of the policies. It doesn't list all of the policies, aims and objectives, but I thought it was useful for members to have the policies and the aims and objectives that sit with that as background information to the risk register.
Okay. Just so that everybody's clear on that while we're going to page 60. Okay, Laura.
Okay,
Take us through the bits.
Yeah, so what I'll do is same thing again. I'll jump through to the red bits basically. So the first one is on page 61 of your pack. And you'll see at the bottom there, the policy is to seek opportunities to secure financial support for future enhancement to these and other community facilities through Section 106 developer funding and the community infrastructure levy as appropriate. So this is talking about parks, gardens, roundabouts, street scene furniture like benches, etc. So the identified risk is failure to identify opportunities or secure funding. And the control measures that we have are working with the district on new developments.
Okay. Any comments on that? Nope. Carry on, Laura.
Okay. The next bit of red, which is the new bit, is on page 64 of your pack. And you'll just see at the top here, that under the community safety policy, we've added in the control measure of the 2-year pilot community warden scheme that we're running in partnership with Arran District Council. And down at the bottom there, linked with the grants policy, is a clear process for service funding agreements and grants. So it's just adding in a new control measure there.
Okay. Can I just query a little bit of wording there? The fact it says community centres, to provide a full range of community centres across the town. Can we perhaps put in there community / youth centres across the town? Because they're not all community centres. One of them is a youth centre.
Yeah, we can do. Yep, that's page 65.
Page 65, yeah.
Yeah.
No, 66. Sorry, down the bottom. Is it? I don't know. I can't see it. I'll flame my eyes. Oh, it's 65. Sorry.
That's all right. I've got it on page 65. So yeah, okay.
I'll get my guide dog to read it for me.
Yeah. Okay. I've made a note of that, Chair. Thank you.
Okay.
So on page 65, as you can see in red, it was just adding in a new risk, which was reduced access to leisure, fitness, social groups, a lack of positive activities for children and young people to engage in, which obviously links back to what you were saying, Chair, about them being youth facilities, and a lack of resources to be able to provide that full range. And then the control measures, again, we've added some extra ones in there, that we have the capital projects programme, and that we also have quite a robust budget setting in place to be able to ensure that we resource those community centres.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Nobody's indicating, so.
Move on to the next bit, page 66. So the policy, which stems directly from the priorities, is to develop branding for the town and town council. And the identified risks there are lack of resources to deliver quality branding, failure to present a strong brand and capitalise on the opportunity to market the town, and a lack of community and stakeholder engagement. And the control measures that we've identified are having the communications and marketing manager leading on that, obviously our strategy that's already in place and the committee.
Right. Can I just say on this that there's been a lot of work done in the past on branding, and it was dropped a few years ago. Can we just ensure that all that work is got out now and used for developing this branding for the town council? Because I hate to think we're going to start reinventing the wheel when a lot of it has been done years ago and it's just sitting there on the shelf gathering dust. So perhaps we could make sure that, you know, when we do start to develop this branding, that that information's got out and we use it.
Yeah, we certainly don't like reinventing the wheel. So I'll definitely pass that on to the communications and marketing manager, who would obviously lead on this.
Thank you. Nobody else indicating? No.
Okay, so page 67 is the museum. So the policy has changed slightly, adding the words to conserve and safeguard the museum collection, provide an education outreach service, as well as promoting and preserving Littlehampton's cultural heritage. And obviously there's a lot of work that has been done on the aims and objectives now that the collections documentation project has finished. And as they move forward into their forward plan, there's a lot of work being done on the aims and objectives there. So in terms of controls, again, we've added some more there. Budget, external funding, which I know is something the museum curator will be looking at. Volunteers, and the collection storage review and the rationalisation programme, which is the next stage following the documentation project.
Nobody indicating, so everybody's happy.
Okay. Page 68, a very minor one. We don't have the small arts grants, but we do have the grants.
Yeah.
And then we skip quite a few pages to page 73. And just down at the bottom there, so this stemmed out of the new priorities to support local young people looking for employment or who want to develop entrepreneurial skills. And again, as I said, for the priorities, that priority needs to be explored, and then once it has been, we can then have a look at what the risks are, but we just need to define what that priority is going to be. But ultimately, that's going to, at the moment, the only control that we've got on that is the committee process.
Yeah. Yes. Which committee would be doing that?
So it would come under policy and finance as well as council.
Yeah. Okay. Okie dokie. Anybody? No. Carry on.
Okay, the next one then is on page 77 of the agenda, and that's to support the provision of access to all facilities in the town for people of all abilities. And again, that was something new that was brought to council and has been agreed as a priority, so it's now within our policies. And the risks that have been identified is that the local voice isn't heard, inaccessible services, and the reputation of the council. And the control measures are our committees and liaison with district council and other organisations.
Yeah, you've also got one other thing on that page, Laura, that's up the top.
Oh yeah.
Just that one word.
And councillor training. Yeah.
Yeah. We need training.
Okay, so
yeah, no comments, turnover.
The next one is on page 78, and a new line added in there about business continuity.
Yeah.
So it's to have arrangements in place to ensure continuity or at least minimum disruption to service during the event of an accident or national emergency. And that's linked to our priorities. So we are hoping to have business continuity plans brought to the autumn cycle of committees. Obviously, the identified risks there are failure to develop and record, and that means it leaves the business at risk. The capacity and resources to develop those, and obviously the council's reputation if we're not able to deliver some of our services, or at least minimum services. And then the controls are committee management and staff training. And obviously what I would say is that during this last year and a half, there's been pretty good business continuity. And what we'll do is capture the lessons learnt from that. So that's what officers are doing at the moment, is just kind of capturing the lessons learnt from that and adding that to the business continuity plans that they're drafting.
Thank you. No comments? Okay. I think
No,
that's
then
right.
that's it for the changes.
Yeah. Now that's another one we just have to note, I think, is the recommendation.
I think there is one question.
There is. And that's Councillor Butcher. Alan.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to say really how enormously helpful I found actually going through all of this, because obviously coming in halfway through and trying to get a grasp of sort of what's been happening before, even if you've paid attention to it to some degree anyway, it has been immensely informative to me to be able to actually see the whole of it, and also obviously to see what changes are being put forward at the moment. So just wanted to note that really, that new councillors, it's really helpful.
Yeah, I agree with that. And it's not only for new councillors, it's for me as well, because I'm pretty forgetful. I need to be reminded. But no, thanks, Laura. That was a good report, well put together report.
Okay, and then just to confirm, so the recommendation is to consider comment upon the risk registers, and if satisfied, recommend them to full council for approval.
Yes, well, I think from the lack of comments that we are satisfied with them. The fact that we like them as well, the way they're written, that they're easy to read and for people to understand. And is it okay then, committee, that we recommend to full council?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Yes, happy for that.
Thank you. There you go, Laura. All done.
Thank you very much.
So now we're on to item 7.4. Is it? No, 7.3.
Yeah.
It's the delegation reviews. And that's you again. Oh no.
No, it's a change this time.
Excuse me. It's the other part of the double act.
Thank you, Chair. If it's okay to just run through this with members. As part of the work plan, the committee does take an annual review of the schemes of delegation, of which there are two. So we have our scheme of delegation to committees, which are in members' purple binders and also on our website. Those have been reviewed by the Deputy Town Clerk and Town Clerk, and there were no changes that we found there. In terms of the scheme of delegation to officers, this is really for those members that haven't looked at it closely before, the rules that we use as an organisation to carry out the decisions of council and how those decisions are delegated through to officers to carry out. What we've done is reviewed that, and there are a couple of changes there, but they're very minor. We class them as housekeeping, and it would just be for the committee to note, and they are around changes to the job descriptions of a couple of officers there. So we've updated it to changes the references to the events manager to that of events officer. And the communications officer has now changed to communications and marketing manager. Those were the only changes in the delegation itself, and then attached to the delegation is the interview protocol that we adopt for senior posts in the organisation, and in that respect we updated that to ensure again that job descriptions were accurately reflected. So the Project 82 manager, that position was no longer in the organisation. Communications and marketing manager, as I mentioned previously, and also the addition of the community resources officer, which is a relatively new post since the last review. And those are just for members to note, as they're minor and don't affect the delegations in any other way.
Okay, thank you, Juliet. Everybody happy with those? It's just a matter of noting those couple of changes, and literally they are changes to people's job titles.
Agreed.
Agree.
Thank
Agreed.
you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Move on to 7.4, which is the annual work plan, and that's back to you again, Juliet.
Thank you, Chair. And again, this is just an update really for members in terms of the structure of work that this committee does. It's pretty much prescribed, as it says in the title, with governance and audit work driving the programme. That has been reviewed. The frequency hasn't altered in any of them, and we've just updated to indicate when the last reviews took place and the nature of those reviews, and also updated it in terms of when the next reviews are due, and that will drive the committee's work for the coming year. And it also notes the dates of the next 2 meetings, which will be scheduled for February and July 2022. And again, that's for members to approve, Chair.
Thank you, Juliet. Are there any questions?
No.
No. No. So can we?
Can
Sorry.
Sorry. Can I just ask Laura, what was it you just said? I tell you, my brain's gone. That would need to come through in October. Is that reflected in this work plan?
It was in the autumn, so the policies, aims and objectives document will be going through the committee cycle in the autumn.
And is that reflected in this work plan? Is all I'm asking.
If it will come, sorry, it will, yeah, so it will go through the cycle in September to the committees, and then a risk register will be undertaken on that, which will come back to the Governance and Audit Committee in February 2021.
Okay. Thank you.
22, sorry, 22.
Yeah.
Lost a year in COVID. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so can we note the report?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So now we move on. Is there any exempt business?
There is none, Chair.
No. So that's it. That's the end of the meeting. But before we go, as you all know, we're going to be losing half of the double act that actually runs this committee and have done it so well over the years. And I think the report tonight of the internal audit is a testament to the hard work and the good work that Laura's done all the time she's been here to get us in the state that we are in. I certainly feel that our loss is Lewis's gain, but I wish Laura the very best in her new role. I'm sure you'll make an excellent town clerk.
Thank you, Chair.
And as I say, Lewis will be a better place with you there. I certainly can give that assurance to them. So thanks very much for everything you've done, and good luck at Lewis.
Thank you very much, Chair. Like I said, I don't do it alone. I do it with lots of officers, including my double act over there, and the members' involvement as well. Yeah, thank you for making governance and audit a pleasure to clerk these last 5 years. Thank you very much, Chair.
You're welcome. Here's a virtual bunch of flowers.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Here. Strongly seconded.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your attendance tonight. Nice quick meeting. We can go and watch the football now. So see you all at the next meeting, apart from you, Laura. Bye.
I'll tune in. Bye.
Bye-bye.